And you've touched on the social media elements. So I'd imagine you probably get hundreds, if not thousands of messages from up and coming athletes looking to get sponsored, whether it's your local blue belt who just won like a grassroots competition to people who were probably competing at Pan Am's, Worlds, Europeans. What advice would you give to someone who's looking to market themselves to get a sponsorship?
Yeah, look, we get these messages all the time, and Austin Daffron was actually over a couple of years ago, and I did a podcast with him as well, and he asked me the same thing, even coming from a viewpoint of his of having reached out and sent that message and got sponsored. And I've tried to like condense it into an easy answer to give advice to people every time they send a message, but there is an intangible element to it that you can look at someone and say, oh, they have an it factor of some sort. But what you can do to at least put yourself in a position to have the potential of getting a sponsorship is essentially having an audience. Like, there's no way around it. If you have 300 followers, a brand isn't going to sponsor you. Like, I hate to be ruthless or harsh about it, but they're not. You don't have ultimately what the brand needs from a sponsored athlete is a return on investment. If we're paying someone or just even giving them gear, giving them custom gear, promoting them on our social media, like, that's valuable real estate from a brand point of view, that you could be promoting products, etc. You could be promoting the brand story, but instead you're essentially promoting an athlete. You don't necessarily need to be competing. Competing helps. You definitely don't need to be winning. Once you're active and showing that you're really bought into the lifestyle, the first thing actually I would say, going back a step, is if you want to be sponsored by a brand, buy something from them. Don't reach out to a brand and say, oh, I love your gear, I want to be sponsored by you. And then I look up your name on the back end of the website and go, well, I've never ordered from you, so how do you know you love the gear? So I'm like, yeah, like, especially for within jiu-jitsu and MMA, there's very few brands that have a physical presence or have a presence in a physical retail location anywhere that you can kind of bypass and say, oh, I bought it here. They're going to know. They're going to be able to look up and see if you've bought anything from them. And if you haven't, how are you supposed to say, oh, I'd love to rock your gear all the time? No, you just want free gear. Come on, like, it's too transparent. So, yeah, build up an audience. That's a whole other conversation. That's a whole other, like, side to it. Yeah, fair enough, I run a marketing agency. How do you build up an audience? Look, I've less than 1,000 followers on Instagram. I've been doing YouTube videos for a year and a half now nearly, and I still haven't built that up. It's not easy. I know it's not easy, but if you can focus on that, try and obviously not let it distract from your training too much, and just keep progressing. Especially, like, if you are successfully competing, brands will keep an eye on you. So that's like, you already have a leg up there. Even if you're not, it's fine. You can still pump out content. You can providing value and making sure that you're getting attention, and that's how you're gonna get the attention of brands essentially. Or, like, don't be afraid to reach out to brands either. Like, I don't mean to say don't send me a message. Like, I'll tell you what you're missing. I'll look at your profile and say, well, you need to have X amount of content. You're not posting enough. You haven't obviously built up the follower count or whatever. But yeah, it's just about put yourself in the brand's shoes and say, if I was running a brand legitimately, if I didn't know me, would I sponsor me? And I think that's the easiest way to look at it. And that's something I've started to do myself with a lot of things, taking a step back and going, like, looking at my own social media and going, if I didn't know me, if I wasn't me, would I follow me? Would I be interested in my story? And, like, the data will tell you your answer. If it's not growing, then you're not doing, there's something you're doing wrong. So yeah, look, it's a whole minefield to get into, but the main thing is just being consistent with your social media presence, building up an audience, because that's ultimately, you need an audience to be able to sell to, so the brand can get return on investment.